searching for any feeling to feel the
What up, everybody?
Hey, what's up?
I did it again. I had to. I just love that song so much. I love your band.
It's a beautiful song.
It's an amazing song.
Mhm.
I'm all about it. And we'll get to that in a bit. Because I know you guys have your Silverside show coming up.
Oh, it's coming up
this Friday, baby.
Friday.
But let's start with let's just recap our weekend. We only had one show this weekend. Oh, what?
Welcome to episode 2 of the Cover Story podcast. We made it to 2 episodes. It's a milestone.
We made it to 2.
Milestone. Yeah, they said it couldn't be done. And look at us now.
And you can tell how amateur we are because Mike was like, dude, we totally forgot to do the like, share, subscribe,
obliterate
the
like button, the smash button,
like,
some button.
We
didn't tell anybody.
We didn't tell anyone. We like to keep things organic.
That's right. Yeah.
Make people just do it out of the kindness of their hearts, not because they're told to do something. But yeah, episode 2. Last week we had recapped the weekend prior. This past weekend we only had one show. And it was pretty fucking cool. It was an outdoor thing in Michigan City, Indiana, and I ate
live
like
at the lakefront.
Live at the lakefront.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we had Steve back. We had our sound guy back, which was great.
I love Steve. I miss him already. We got to get him on the pod too.
Well, the funny thing, those videos where like I overlaid, "Are you ready for the sex, girls?" Like we're dancing like idiots, and Steve just walks by. He's like, dude, when he's in the zone, it's like, don't even talk to me. I am in the zone. But I feel like that made the video even more hilarious that Steve just walks right in front of us.
He's dialed in. He's locked in all the time.
I should have had that.
You're not going to break, Steve.
I should have had that video loaded up, but I didn't because I'm a fucking amateur.
It's all right. It's on our Facebook, so they can chime in on our Facebook. Or IG, Shady_Tribute.
Shady_Tribute on IG. Let's see. Shady_Tribute.
Ah, there we are.
And again, if you didn't see the first week, these are the 3 bands that me and Mike are in, but we're also in a bunch of other bands. So there's Shady Tribute, which is the Eminem. Lala, which is like, modern
festival party music.
But we also do some like older school stuff too. But it's just party music.
It's good vibes.
It's good vibes. And then the hair band night is 80s hair metal. And I think we have a bunch of shows in July. So we'll talk about that on the next podcast. But so we were live at the lakefront. I ate some bugs. Thankfully, people in the crowd had bug spray, and you sprayed me.
I got you real good. That's what friends are for.
And you got my crotch as well.
You don't want to get bit.
No, I don't.
You don't.
I mean,
it's dangerous out there.
There's a line here. I don't know how like perverted we can get. I was gonna get kind of perverted, but I'm not gonna do that. Yeah.
Oh, we're keeping it clean. Let's keep it
kind of clean. Like, there's like a line.
Shady for the children. We discussed
Shady is for the children. There was another one, all ages, and
they were out in bunches. Those children.
And you came up to me like at load in when I got there, and you're like, he's like, maybe it might happen again. If you guys didn't listen last week, we talked about the show that we did in Michigan last week, where we were asked to not swear or keep it like really family friendly, and
the PG M&M show that everybody's always wanted.
Yeah, you can go back, and if you don't know what we're talking about, go back and listen to that one. You'll get the whole scoop. But man, there were no concerns. And this one was like literally on the lake, loud sound system. people everywhere, like around the area, and we didn't get one complaint.
No, those people came to party.
They came to party.
The grown-ups, the
And
children, they were there
yeah.
for a good time.
Oh, it was so good. And we got a message from somebody saying how it was like the best show that they've ever seen. And again, our show's good. Like, it's really good, but I'm like, man, you need to go see some more shows.
Go see some shows.
Yeah.
Shows are good out there.
Shows are very good. So speaking of shows, you have with your original band, two of your original bands.
Yes, Silverside and Fist to the Sky at Bottom Lounge.
Yes.
This Friday, June 14th. Get your tickets. It's going to be a party.
I'm going to be there. Ryan's going to be there. Is Steve mixing you guys?
Yep.
Oh.
He's mixing Fist and Silverside.
Oh, dude. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be so awesome. And the song we played in the beginning was Silverside. One of my favorite Silverside songs. And we kind of were talking about one of our buddies' bands, LOUDERNOW, who is my favorite band in the scene and always makes me feel like I'm 21 again, which I love. So we figured, and he's also in Silverside and Fist to the Sky. So we figured, well, what the fuck? Let's bring him on. And luckily he said yes.
He did say yes. And now, full transparency. He's one of my best friends in the world. I owe him my life. I'm in love with him. He's a great guy. You're going to love him. We should bring him in here.
Yeah, let's bring him in. Here we go. There he is.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How are you?
Dan.
Hey, thanks for that intro, Mike. I had to dry my eyes before I came on here.
Man.
Dan,
it's good to see you, Dan.
Dan Zemanek. We go back a little bit, just like
dude, way back.
Yeah, like we were both in a Nirvana tribute for a little while. You were, I ended up replacing you in that, and then just through the scene. I mean, like your dad's like a staple on the scene and kind of helped create and build the scene. His dad is in the Beatles tribute called American English. They've been around forever. They've played everywhere in the world, and it's so good to have you on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This is super cool. You know, it's funny. I saw you guys started this up, and I'm like, man, that's such a cool idea because, I mean, myself, I know I've got 10,000 stories from just one iteration of cover band I've been in, and I mean, between all the things that you guys do, I can't even imagine the amount of material to talk about.
Oh God, it's yeah, we're kind of insane in the way that we're just like, let's add another project. But after Shady, it was like, dude, no more. Like I got reached, like people were reaching out to me about other things, and I'm like, I appreciate it, but no, like we're
totally.
I would absolutely kill myself. So, for those who haven't seen LOUDERNOW, how would you describe LOUDERNOW?
Interesting question. I mean, it's an emo pop punk cover band. So we cover, you know, everything from Fall Out Boy, Taking Back Sunday. They use My Chem, stuff of that nature.
Amberlin.
So that's the side of LOUDERNOW that I think is like really, really cool. Cause like we do all the really big songs, but this band's never been afraid to like take risks and learn songs that maybe people might not ever expect to see in a bar. Like, you know, we throw in some Under Oath, you know.
Oh, it's so good though.
Some people end up like, okay, I'm going to go see this band, but they never, you know, expect us to be, you know, screaming our dicks off in some of these tunes. So,
but dude, like, I think that's the one you guys are like the only band that can get away with that. And you always have. Like, even I used to love Running Lights for LOUDERNOW. at Bourbon Street. Like that was like, I was obsessed with it. Like me and Dan would talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
But you guys are the only, and I've seen like every cover band and their kids, like everyone. You guys are like the only ones that can get away with doing that, like doing the deeper cuts. And I think it's just because the people that are coming out to see you are so hardcore. Like it's different with a tribute band. Like with Shady, we have all the hardcore Shady heads and like all of that. But when you're doing a broad spectrum of bands, it's harder to go deep. But
sure,
your guys' crowd, they eat up everything that you guys do.
Yeah. It's interesting because like I think that's a testament of some of the music itself, you know, like I remember when like growing up listening to like the pop punk and emo tunes, you know, you had your alternative press, you know, you'd go buy the magazine from the rack and you would look through the pages and go to that like you know, artists you should know about like section on the bottom, and it's like for those who like this band, this band, and this band, I'm like, oh my god, I don't know any of these. And then you'd go search them and go listen to those songs. I think it was like a time period where, you know, between that and like MySpace and Pure Volume, like everyone was just going and searching for new bands and like on the hunt for something interesting that I feel like even though it's a cover band, I think a lot of the people that listen to that stuff still crave that they crave that exact thing and still actively seek out music. It's really kind of interesting. Like, you know, sometimes you look at your parents and they only listen to the same thing like over and over and over. And then you look at, I don't remember what it was called. It was something 27 or 28. Like people stopped start listening to new things or like trying to learn new things.
Yeah.
And then if you look at like our generation now, like they're the podcasters, they're the people who like go watch new shows and get super invested and then go like Wikipedia or IMDb, like every last person in that show. And it's like, that's like our audience too. Like they want to know about us. They want to know about all these bands. And I don't know. I think that aspect of all of it is just super cool. So it's like, we did this weekend. We threw hit or miss in the set by Newfound Glory.
Mm-hmm.
So not necessarily the biggest song, still a big song, but I mean that's probably the oldest song in our show. It's like 2000 or 99 maybe.
Yeah.
And people knew it. Some people knew it. Some people didn't know it. But I mean, like that's what's cool for me. Like if we do a tune like that and like 4 people pop for it, and they're like, yes. And that made my night that they even tried that.
And you guys will never, like Mike can attest to this in the cover bands we play in. Like sometimes if you play a dud, you lose the crowd, especially at Bourbon Street where there's like all these different places to go. You lose the crowd and it's very hard to get them back. Whereas you guys never lose anybody. And I think it's interesting that you brought up how you guys added a song because all of your set lists are different. And you guys are constantly like, do you know how many songs you guys have like in your arsenal right now?
So we know about 160. I would say it's probably more than that, but like Kyle's catching up on learning some of the tunes. So without turning his brain into soup, you know, so we've been adding back a few here and there. But I think like for us, like the main focus was to give people some new stuff.
And talk about that. Talk about how you guys just added Kyle.
Yeah.
Well, wait. Before we do that, I'm going to go back. What year did Louder Now start?
Oh, yes.
So what do you define start? Like first performance?
I'm talking about the
first rehearsal,
Subterranean show. The Subterranean show.
The landscape of the cover band scene. There was not really a pop punk emo band to be found. When was that, and what made you feel like starting it up?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Okay, so Tony, as you know, but I don't know if everyone else knows, I a band called Smells Like Nirvana, which we started in. It was Paul, I, and Nick Shabatura, who's also in both of your bands. Amazing drummer, amazing human,
Mhm.
best human. So Paul started this Nirvana tribute, which became from he had just put like an acoustic video of him playing guitar online doing Nirvana cover, and a guy saw it and was like, "Hey, is this the real thing?" And Paul was like, "Yeah." Uh,
Totally.
it was not. And then he went and he messaged me and he's like, I know this guy like is in a bunch of bands and does work. And then he knew Nick from, they went to high school together back in Romeoville. Um, so I did that band for about 4 years. And then I was like, man, this is like really cool. Like we're playing these shows and like people are like losing their minds and stuff. Um, and like I always kind of like thought like tribute bands and cover bands are two different animals. Like people don't understand. Like they're not the same at all.
Mhm.
Um, Especially in the way they were perceived. And I doing Smells Like Nirvana, I always like wondered like, man, would I ever do a variety act? Like I think that would just be a way harder sell. It would be a lot more work to get it off the ground. And then I was thinking about like what variety would I even want to do? Which is when like I thought about like the emo pop punk thing, and this was like a shower idea back in like 2013, 14, sometime in there for me. But when the idea came to fruition, so I used to always go to Tribes. Do you guys remember that bar over
Yep.
in Tinley Park?
Yep.
So my little friends group, we of just people we used to do shows together back in the scene. It was Davey Carlson from A Kidnap in Color, Gary Wiseman from The Fastest Kid Alive. Keaton was in Arsenal Archaea, and then there was me and Steve, who were in a variety of different bands over the years. And then we had just a bunch of different friends. I know Kyle was even there a lot of those nights, just hanging. We used to just meet up regularly just to have drinks and like talk about just music or hang out or whatever. And one specific night, somebody was in there and they were popping on the fucking emo bangers on the touch tunes in the bar. And man, it just kept coming on. It was like My Cam, and it was like Hawthorne Heights, and then like they just kept putting on the tunes, and like we were laughing, and I was like, we were at like the edge of our seats, like what other thing are they about to put on? Because like this was in um, probably the middle or early 2015. And I was like, man, like there was like nobody played music like that in a bar. It wasn't a thing in a bar. And I remember just us being stoked about it. And then like they had been asking me multiple times, just like, what it's like to be in a cover band. And I told those guys that night, I remember saying like, if I ever did a variety band, this would be it. It would be this. And then like we were kind of all looking at each other like, wait, we've all been in bands together and played shows together, but never like played together. Like, why has that not been a thing? And that was kind of how that all came to fruition. We're like, all right, well, let's do it. We ended up talking for like 2 more hours till like we closed the bar and then in the parking lot till like 4 a.m. And then like 2 weeks later, we like said that we picked out 5 songs and went and jammed. And then about 6 months after that, uh, it took a little bit of time to get the arsenal of songs ready to be like, hey, we're going to commit to a show. Cause I mean, you guys know, like learning a 45 song set is no easy task, but we wanted to make sure that we did it like with precision and like there's so many vocals. We wanted to make sure we could do it all live.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of time invested there. And then, yeah, that all came to fruition on, May 6th, I want to say, of 2016. So that was that first show at Subterranean.
That's amazing. I have another question with a little bit of that in mind. Tony, you can answer this too, because I'm always curious about this. And I don't know that people outside of our business think about this. So what is your method of learning these songs? Like you've got 30 songs to learn for that set, that first set. How do you go about that? What's your method? What are the steps you take to like commit these to memory?
I sit right where I'm sitting right now, and I have it's like my studio area, and I first what I'll do is I'll listen to the songs, and most of the time I can just pick them up. It depends on the genre. Like country was very easy to learn all that stuff. Boy band was very easy to learn all that. Lalo was not. Lalo was more in depth, more like scientific with the sounds and all that stuff. But I'll just sit and we call it woodshedding, where you just sit and play it over and over and over and over and over and over until
Mhm.
you get your part right. Like that's how I do it. And Mike, you've done the same thing. We've been in how many fucking bands together? Like,
Yeah, for me, it's so different between whether if I'm learning bass parts for Hairband or Lala, or if I'm learning rap for Eminem stuff. It's like for the rap stuff is so much different for me. I record like essentially covers of every single song. I could drop a double disc cover album of Eminem songs. I've got a whole arsenal of recorded tracks with my own versions. And like if I'm learning the really fast Spitfire stuff, I'll throw it on my computer, lower it to like half speed or 30% speed, and I'll go with that till I get that comfortably, speed it up 40%, 50%, till I can do it comfortably, and we get our way up to 100%. But it's a process, and I have to write down the lyrics. Lyric retention is so hard for me. It's such a pain in the ass. But
when you're doing 100,000 words in a night, like it's so weird because we've never had that conversation as to how you learn all the Eminem stuff, because songs like Rap God and Godzilla, I mean, they are just, and there he goes.
oh no, did we lose Dan?
We lost him. We lost him.
We didn't even get his answer on how we learned.
I know. He was like, I'm going to go learn songs right now.
Yeah, I'm out here. I got some louder songs to learn.
There he is.
Hey guys,
I
sorry.
wonder,
It's all good.
I'm
It's all good.
I'm definitely going to edit that, but we lost Dan for a second, and it was almost like I hope he wasn't like bored with hearing how
How we
Mike
learn songs.
Mike
Oh
learns
God,
songs.
no! No, it's actually the opposite because I have my own methods. So hearing how other people do stuff is super interesting.
So
That's
what is?
why I ask.
Yeah.
I really want to know how you do it.
Yeah, how do you do it?
It's kind of a combination of both of you guys. Again, I'm a multi-instrument person. So guitar was my first love. So like guitar comes a lot more naturally for me than either bass or vocals, I guess. So with guitar, I can kind of just pick up and know what I'm doing without a doubt. Bass, like you can't just. I don't want to hate on the bass, but like like when you can't just sit down and play it with nothing.
Right.
Like you
Right.
can't just sit down and play it. It sounds like nothing.
Right.
You have to play to something or with someone. So that has its own challenges of like figuring stuff out. I
Yep.
think because of that reason. For louder now, I mean, being a guitar player, usually most of the stuff on bass is not too bad. There isn't very much complicated stuff. Mike, I'm sure you can attest to this. Learning songs by AFI uh, it's one of those things where it's like you can't just sit down and learn that. Like I'm gonna look up a tab
Yeah,
and I'm gonna see exactly what someone else thought was going on here first before I dive right in, because I mean, like songs like "Girls Not Grey" is a bass solo the entire time, and there's like zero repeated patterns because Hunter's a beast of a bass player.
Yeah.
Yep.
So something like that, it's like what you said, Tony, just woodshedding till you know it, song over and over and over and over. For me, if it is a song with a ton of small changes, like what I'm learning for Fist of the Sky on for our show on Friday, I learn them in phrasings. So this section, there's part 1, 2, part 3, 1, 2, and then the tails are different or something. I learn them in phrases. So I'll learn the first 2 phrases, then I'll add the second 2 phrases, then I'll learn the whole thing as a whole, and then move on to the next section. So I'll learn it in like parts. If it's bulk learning, I think bulk learning is challenging. I think once you do it, once you have your bulk learning, like, oh, I've got to learn 40 songs for this show in 2 weeks or 1 week or 5 days. Like, I think we've all done that at some point.
Mhm.
That's just grind it out, man. Like,
Yep.
pull up some tabs and
Don't
hope for the
talk to me
best.
for a
Because,
week.
yeah, you don't have the time. You don't have the luxury of like actually like digging in this hardcore.
Mhm.
So
Was it you? Did you show me the app Songster?
yes.
Podcast episode 2 brought to you by our sponsors, Songster.
I enjoy Songster a lot, just because it has that MIDI plugin and where you can actually like see it in real time about what's happening.
Mhm.
Not all of them are right, but sometimes
Definitely not, but they'll get you
nice.
close. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean that app has had me in places before where like I didn't actually get to practice the song on a guitar before I got to rehearsal because I'm in 1,000 bands.
Yeah.
I have marketing, advertising, and social media to all run. So
And a day job.
Yeah.
and a day job. So I didn't have time necessarily. So sometimes I will literally turn on Songster, put it like on my dashboard, and watch it while I drive. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm here. I have the basic core, and then by the time we get through the second run through, we're good.
Yeah.
And then I'll go home later and tighten up all the like small stuff.
Yeah. Something I'll do too when I've like when I got asked to play with our country band, I never listened to country music minus when like my kid would play it or if I was watching a country band. Like I didn't know the songs.
Totally.
Like I wasn't familiar. So what I did, and that was like 40 songs for the first show. And hold on a second, my fucking computer's about to die and my dumbass didn't plug it in. Stand by. Talk amongst yourselves.
So I'll add to that while you're plugging it in there.
Yeah.
For me, I think that if you don't know the songs, you're in for it's such a more hard time. Like if you've never heard it before and you're unaware of the format or the structure, it's so much harder to retain.
That is like the entire Lala set for me.
Yeah.
Learning all the like songs by the Black Keys. I've never heard of Tame Impala.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
Sure.
learning songs. Okay, this is songs.
See, I know all those bands because like I'm into a lot of that alternative stuff.
I love it now, but I just never come across them before.
It takes some like understanding of like what's going on here. Are these guys just like writing lazy hooks and riffs, and it's not that at all.
Right.
But
Right.
Another question: if you don't like a song, I mean, 'cause it's so much harder to retain. Like I when I'm learning it, I'm like, oh god, and I'm woodshedding it, and it's just not sticking because I feel like my head is just like, nah, this isn't you. Don't like or whatever. Like it's harder to hold on to.
It's way harder. And like I noticed going back to like the country stuff, what I did, because I always have my iPad on stage to control my in-ear mix so I can tweak.
Sure.
With
Same.
with the country night shows, what I did is I just had the full set on an iPad with just the verse is this, A, B, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Chorus is this, just so I can, if I do happen to get lost, I can revert to that until I'm comfortable with the songs. And what made it easier with country night is that Shabs is the drummer. And so I've been playing with him for so long that I can feel when we're going to go from a verse to a chorus or go to a solo.
Totally.
I can feel that. So that makes it a lot easier. I've subbed with other bands before that I wasn't familiar with the players, and it was definitely a little bit more difficult to do that.
You know what else helps there? Here's a little inside baseball, Dan. We have Nick has a talkback mic that the crowd can't hear, but we can. And if it's a certain song where we need his guidance, he'll tell us chorus, verse, Bridge.
Kid Cudi.
He'll
Yeah.
carry us. He'll carry us home.
Yeah.
He'll make
Yeah.
sure we get there okay.
And that makes it, because like, well, the version of Pursuit of Happiness that we do with Lala by Kid Cudi,
It's a remix, and
yes,
it's crazy.
we have no idea. And like that one, I'm playing synth on, and so he'll literally say, like, I have the chart in front of me, but it's so much better that he could just be like, synth, verse, everyone drop. Like he'll literally call it out like during the show, and that makes it so much easier. And I got a call once. The boy band Night's other band is called 90s Pop Nation, and I got a call literally 2 days before their first show, or before my first show with them, if I could play bass, if I could fill in like last minute. And I said, yeah, that one I definitely had. I mean, there were 25 songs that I had never played before. Luckily, I was familiar with them, but I absolutely needed that cheat sheet. Otherwise, it would have been bad. It would have been real bad.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever used actual like cheat sheets for like the playing part of stuff. But I mean, I struggle with words because I'm a music guy. I was never someone who like listened to music and like, I mean, the lyrics always like were purposeful for me in different ways, but I don't think I ever listened. The thing that initially grabs me in music was never like the words, the melodies for sure, but that's like a music guy. So like for me, lyrics are significantly harder. Even with my own songs in Silverside, and Mike can attest to this, like every day before Silverside plays a show, I will handwrite every word to every song. And that retains it in my head. And even if I've gone over it all week and I feel confident, I'm going to handwrite it because that's how I hold on to stuff lyrically.
Yeah.
So that's a little trick that I do, but yeah, it's insane because I hate handwriting. I hate it so much. if it's analog, I'm out on everything.
So what do you guys? I'm gonna put this banner up now. It's the upcoming Louder Now shows. Yeah. I know that you have one. You guys have like a private this weekend, so I'm not gonna put that one up. But I have June 16th, Taste of Randolph. June 24th of June 21st. I can't talk. LaPorte Civic Auditorium in LaPorte, Indiana, and then June 22nd at the Deck. What's the Deck? I don't know if I've heard of that spot.
It's pretty wild. It's literally on the beach. Like we're going to be playing on the beach.
Let's go.
And they took one of those like semi trucks and they hollowed out the back and made it into a stage, and it's just on there. There's rope lights, and then literally people just are out there on the deck.
Where's it at? Is it in Chicago?
It's in Michigan.
It's
in Muskegon. Yeah. So we're gonna have a big emo beach party thing there. I bought a bunch of like black beach balls and shit. It's gonna be cool. I got some ideas.
That sounds awesome. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that Louder Now is like, when I look at your cover photo on Facebook, that there's just like a shitload of dates. I just love that you guys are.
How many in June? How many in June alone?
10. I think there's 10 or 11 in June.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, I love it. What's the Louder Now website? Where can people find that?
LouderNowChicago.com. I think we also own LouderNowBand2.com.
Hell yeah.
So either one of those will get you there. We got our calendar on there. We have song requests. There's a lot of cool content on there. I just recently updated our website. It's got a lot of cool, interesting stuff about the band. As we all have like a pretty mile-long list of history and music. I thought it'd be cool to put some of that on there.
And I think something that I love about you guys is your like content, like the stuff that Steve shoots, even if it's just you guys in a room, just jamming something acoustic, maybe 2 or 3 of you. Like, it looks so good, it sounds so good, and you handle all the marketing and promotion for Louder Now, and having stuff like that is like priceless. It's
Oh,
so,
totally.
and I love like, especially when I'm talking about you to somebody else. I'm talking about Louder Now and they haven't seen Louder Now. And then I show them that stuff and they're like, "Oh my god, these guys are great." I'm like, "If you think this is good acoustic, like
Yeah.
go see these motherfuckers live, because it is like 3 hours of just energy
Yeah,
the whole time."
yeah.
And I told Tony my favorite thing about Louder Now is you keep getting better and better and better. Like the sky's the limit. It doesn't
we
Yeah.
make sense.
do we
It
do
doesn't
really
make
push the limits with stuff. So I think some of that comes with the fact that we were all in established original bands at some point. So like shooting video like that, and like as far as like execution of all that, like we've been through it, a dozen times over.
Yeah.
So to shoot some of that stuff, like it's very natural for us. And I think that's part of like why Louder Now is perceived the way it is because like this is the weirdest thing to say, but I feel like we're an original band that covers other people's songs.
that
Yeah.
makes
Like
sense.
like it's
That,
really really wild because like we carry ourselves that way. We're bred that way just from years of
and,
label and touring experience. Like it
and it
just
goes
feels natural to just do it the way that we've always known.
it goes
Um,
back to when you started out, you were the first,
mhm.
you were the original cover band for that
It's
scene.
true.
It is
Um,
what it is.
yeah.
And
So it's just
you guys came out of the gate and you were like A level. Like usually it takes time to build the brand and build the product. Like I remember your guys' first show at Bourbon Street in the Performance
mhm,
Hall, and it was like packed, like
mhm.
slammed, and like all your marketing, it just looked slick. It looked cool. Everything that you guys did was
Mhm.
very, I could tell from the marketing end, it was very strategic, and you guys didn't just throw things out there. Like
Yeah.
you thought things through.
I feel like again that kind of came back to being in original bands a really long time. So like we were blessed to have uh, people from established bands in this. Like people, Kidnap and Color was a huge band back in the day,
Yeah.
and our frontman was the frontman of that. So like there was, I don't want to say like notoriety because like our bands were, I mean, they were bigger local bands back in the
Yeah.
day, and then we had Gary from Fastest Kid Alive, so we were blessed with like some people from bigger bands just right out of the gate, and the fact that like all of us lived in similar circles and performed at shows together, everyone knew all of us. So like coming out of the gate, it was almost a revival of the original Mojo days
Yeah.
for a lot of people. And when they saw that this was happening, like they were like, "Yes, this is it. I am there."
And
So
then
we,
you have Kyle, who was also part of that scene with
yeah,
the Frantic. Like we all played. I was in a band called
hmm
State Madison. Like we
yeah,
all cross paths all the time. And then Kyle, the new singer,
hmm
was in the Frantic, and he's also the current lead singer in the band Makeout.
yeah.
So like you just you guys have gotten so lucky. It's so hard to find good lead
hmm
singers. It is
Totally,
so hard. And
yeah.
by the grace of God, you guys have lucked out.
Yeah, like we've known Kyle for a very, very long time. He's been part of our friend circle. We've all been friends for over a decade, or probably a decade and a half, probably,
Yeah.
possibly more. So it was just really natural that someone like him came in, just because like our original model for that band was to have you know to do a cover band with some friends, and have it be like a celebration of all the bands that we grew up on, and just have some fun. And I think that like Kyle fits that mold exactly, like that original plan for this band. So like having someone else who like came in after Scott and was just somebody that was friends with us, and it was just very comfortable, you know. And it's like
And
somebody
someone
and
who,
you trust, and who's a
right,
good human.
and someone who understands the grind and
Totally,
understands that you have to put time in, and
totally, yeah,
understands that on the day of a show, it's not just the 2-3 hours that you're on stage. Like there's
sure, yeah,
traveling, all that stuff. It can sound glamorous in a way, but
hmm,
it can be taxing. It
oh
really
god, yeah,
can. So having someone who's been around that isn't going to immediately be like, "Oh my god, feel like a rock star," and start getting hammered
hmm,
and doing all that other shit, because it's very
yeah,
enticing to do all those things because
oh
it's a
totally,
party atmosphere. So, uh,
hmm,
that's so important, like, when
yeah,
bringing somebody on. Like, I know
totally,
so many people that are amazing players, they wouldn't be able to cut it on the road. Like, they just
totally,
they would not be able to. And it finding, like, in that Hired Gun documentary, like, th having someone who's a good hang and
yeah,
that you can work with is
hmm,
far more important than how technically proficient they are on their instrument.
100%,
Yeah.
hundred
Like,
percent,
like,
yeah,
I don't think I'm by any means one of the best musicians in our scene at all.
dude,
Um,
same,
but it's all about the mindset. It's all about
totally,
the mindset, and having that focus and being able to, like, show up to shows like with Country Night or some of these like the band, we don't practice. So literally it'll be like, let's just play these at a show. So everyone
hmm,
has to be on their
yeah,
game. And if you have somebody that isn't accustomed to that, it can be a problem. Or if you have somebody that has an ego that's soaring through the fucking roof, that can be a problem as well. Because it's very hard
totally,
to, like, especially a band like Louder Now, or even at like Shady, when Shady came out of the gate and was doing well, it's very hard to find people that won't let that shit get to their heads. And
yeah, god,
like
yeah,
like I've talked to people that are like, dude, Mike, man, he's just fucking great. Is he like slamming girls and doing all this other? I'm like, no, dude, he's very happily married. Rosie's awesome, and we are just overly focused on what we are doing. And
Mike's
it,
probably in the back eating a salad. You know,
or
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. Actually, Mike like fucking disappears before. Like, I always know when we're getting close to showtime because Mike is not in the green
hmm,
room. He's
I get it.
nowhere.
Yeah,
He is off, and so
Yeah.
we know his
you
routine now,
have to.
and his
Yeah.
routine is different with Shady than it is with Lala or Hairband or anything else that we do. But we know his routine, and I will literally, like, I'll be like, all right, be up, got to be at the stage in 3 minutes. And I'll just,
Hmm,
like, I know what room he's in, and I'll just kind of like yell it into that room, but,
hmm,
that's what you want.
yeah,
I would much rather play and perform and work with somebody like that than somebody who is just
totally.
getting shit faced,
Part
backstage.
of
And then,
the secret sauce to success is, yeah, people do think it's, oh, you need the most talented players, but you need people who get along and who will outwork other people.
Hmm,
yes,
totally, totally.
Tony, Dan, you two are both two of the most hardworking people that I've met in this scene, and it shows in the bands that you're in and the products you put out, because that's
yeah,
what it takes. You got to work hard as hell for it.
yeah,
You do. And
That's all there.
people don't see it, you know, it's like, it's always funny because it's like, I mean, I don't think the bass player ever gets credit on a technical ability, like ever. But that was my choice. Like I like singing and I like interacting with the crowd. Like, sure, I could have played guitar and louder now, but I wanted to play bass and just enjoy singing along with people and like having those experiences because it's a cover band and that's what I want from it.
Oh
and
my
the,
God!
But
Did you see the bass player used a little bit of distortion on that part?
dude, you'd hate my tone because it's all grit.
but that's, I always say this about playing bass, is that when there's a good bass player in a band, you sonically, in most cases, most people don't hear the bass.
Mhm.
They don't think that they hear the bass. But then
Right.
if you pull the bass out of the mix, they're like, "Oh my god!" So the bass
Mhm.
is for me, it's one of it's easier than guitar, but
Yeah.
the
It's
hard
more.
part is if you mess up when you're playing bass, that's when
Mhm.
everyone in the room will hear it. Like,
Mhm.
and it's not necessarily I guess in a way it's an audible thing, but you feel it. If the
Yes.
bass, if a band has
Oh.
a bad bass player, like you feel it, and it just kind of like throws everything off,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
Whereas like, and that was something that when I started, I started playing bass in Hairbangers Ball. That was my first cover band, and there were definitely some shows early on where you could just I hit a wrong note and I could feel it. I was like, oh my god, my god, my god. So yeah, bass isn't necessarily like the sexiest instrument. I
Mhm.
mean, unless you guys are playing it because you guys make it sexy. I don't I don't make it as sexy as you guys do, but um when the bass is off, everything is off.
Totally.
And I
And
think people know it's the bass too. You can't hide.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You feel that off rub in your whole body. Ugh.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Was
Oh
it
yeah.
weird with like the emo bands too? Like the bass player was like a key visual part of those bands for some reason. Like I remember
Yeah.
back in the day, like the bass player was like a guy that people were watching a lot. And like if you go learn the songs that like we play them, like there's not a lot to be desired by a lot of the like bass playing in a lot of those songs. But
Yeah.
like why was that guy the focus? It was always like the guy that like had to look really cool or like
Oh,
had the
Pete
swoopy
Wentz.
hair. Or,
Pete Wentz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That Pete Wentz is the perfect example.
Shout out
That's-
Pete Wentz. Get him on the pod.
Yeah.
I feel like that there's something to that too. So funny story when we played Wrigley Field, we were sound checking and we were about to run tracks and Steve threw on "Thanks for the Memories." Like dude, you're gonna soundtrack with their song. We're getting a C and D tomorrow. You know, like
Well, that brings up actually another question, Dan. I did want to ask you this. Between every band you've been in, every band member you've had, out of all your options, fuck who?
what like
You didn't
what
get
has
it.
to go? Like what am I 86?
No. Just if it's fuck anybody, it's
It's got to be Steve.
it's fuck Steve.
Yeah, it's got to. I mean, there's not another option there.
Yeah, fuck Steve.
I
If you
didn't give
haven't-
him his own hashtag for a reason.
and his own stickers. If you haven't been to a Louder Now show, you'll understand what we're talking about
Yeah.
once you see Louder Now. I have a feeling that I don't know anybody that hasn't seen Louder Now at this point. Like it's especially where I'm at. I'm on the south side. I'm right by Bourbon Street. Like Louder Now is one of our, if not the biggest band that plays there as far as like crowd size and all that other shit goes. So everyone knows Louder Now.
Yeah, we've been around for a minute, but yeah, I mean, like Bourbon Street, we have mad love for Bourbon Street. Like that's our home, you know.
Yeah.
That venue alone, just performing there, I would say like made our band what it is. You know, it was the brightest lights to perform under, the brightest lights to build under, and
Yeah.
I mean, I would have to send a lot of love and a lot of credit to the success of our band just to Bourbon Street.
Yeah. And
without that venue, I think it would have taken us probably years to get to where we are.
Yeah, and Bourbon Street can do that for bands. That's why so many bands want to get into Bourbon Street. It can if your product is good and you're doing your shit, it'll be great for you. If you don't take the shit seriously and you get an opportunity to play there and you don't do your shit, it can hurt you. So you guys just came in. I just remember the staff just like losing their minds and everyone. I mean, you know when a band's really good when like Louder Now's playing and like the servers and the bartenders who happen to be off that night are there. Like when you have the staff there, they're like, oh no, we've had people that have requested off
Yeah.
because
I know.
they
I
wanted
know
to just
Arlene's
party.
always trying to get off when we're
Yeah.
playing.
I'm like, but I'm like, it's always packed. You got to make good money, and they're like, yeah, we do make good money, but like sometimes you just want to tear loose with them. And I'm like, no, I get it.
Sometimes you just want to jump in the pit in a day to remember.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I remember one show we had the confetti and like sparks and shit. And I'm like, when do you want us to do it? And you're like, dude, day to remember. And he's like, and you're like, here, I'll pull it up. I'll let you know the part. I'm like, I know exactly.
Yeah, I know the part. I'm good. Yeah. Oh, it's so funny.
Oh, so good. So let's segue into, like, me and Mike talked about this the first week, where we always catch hell because we're cover band musicians or tribute band musicians, and we're not like, do your own thing. Like, why can't you do your own thing? Well, you two motherfuckers pretty much are like, we are, and you're playing with two original bands
in one night.
And your bands comprise multiple people that are in cover bands and tribute bands. So there's Silverside, and then there's Fist to the Sky, and then Chains Over Razors. I was talking about how Will was in an STP tribute. He was also in a Rob Zombie tribute, which he would like deck himself out and like, dude, it was so badass. But
Hellbilly Deluxe, and actually the drummer of that band was actually the drummer of my very first band ever. When him and I we met in high school at a pool place. So his name is Dennis. He went to grade school with a buddy I met at Providence High School, and we all went out to shoot pool one day, and I met Dennis, and dude, I shit you not, this is a real ass story. I wanted to be in a band so bad and play music with others that I literally went out, because he's like, I always wanted to play drums. I went out and I bought a drum set so he could come over here and play with us, because like we got together once and my buddy Eric had like this little tiny drum kit. And he came over and we played, the very first song we played together was Machine Head by Bush.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the dude legitimately was able to do, that's not like AC/DC drums. That's like, he just knew, he just did it. And I'm like, what the shit? Like, who picks up the, and so like the next day after playing that little drum kit, I ran out and I bought a drum set. I let him borrow it. I let him like get practice in. And that was our first band. And we had that band for like most of my high school like years.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
That's amazing.
So, and then he went on to do drums in a lot of different bands, but he's still currently in Hellbilly Deluxe. He's been playing for 20 some odd years, as long as I have. We still do music, but he was in a punk rock original band called Shift. He's in a band called Venta Atmosphere with my buddy Brian. But yeah, sorry, rant. But there was a whole nother really cool story in there.
And it's so funny because all of us, the scene is so incestuous. Like, we've either played together or been in the same band, maybe at different times, or played shows together in the original scene back in the day, like the Mojos, Metro, and Beat Kitchen, all that stuff. So like, it's always interesting when little side bits like that come up, because it is so true. And that's where it's so important to not be an asshole and get your work done. Because if you do that, you can make money in this scene. But the second we all know this, if someone is an asshole in the scene, we all hear about it like right away, like immediately. And it's like, okay. Or if we're looking for somebody, like if my band's looking for a band member, or if your band's looking for a band member, we always reach out to each other and be like, hey, do you know this guy? Do you know anybody? Blah, blah, blah. It's all like referrals. And it's so word gets around. And that's why people are like, well, how come Mike and Nick are in like all your bands, and like Phil's in like most of your bands, and Aton's? And I'm like, it makes it easier because we know that they're going to do their shit. Like, that it makes it so much easier. Like there's no hand holding involved. no
Totally.
babysitting, nothing like that. So it makes
Yeah.
it a lot easier. But so why don't you guys talk about Silverside and Fist to the Sky? Because there's a show coming up this Friday, June 14th, Bottom Lounge. Get your
Yeah.
tickets.
Dan, when was our last Silver show?
Our last Silverside show, I mean, it was probably about 5 years ago now. So we
Yeah, it
we
was
haven't played.
pre-pandemic, right? We haven't played
It,
since.
it was pre-pandemic. I think we played at what is now Heroes West, used to be Quarry Bar, and we were there. We were direct support for Local Age, which is a whole nother story for Martino. But yeah, I want to say that was the last time we did a gig. So it has been a minute. I'm very excited for it personally for the Silverside set. I mean, I'm excited for both sets. But I don't know, like just being in cover bands and doing this at the caliber that we all do it. I'm never going to say that I act or pretend to be anything I don't, but it's going to be really nice to get on a stage and be Dan, you know? And that's going to be really cool because like artistically, like I'm going to put my heart and soul and my words and things that were challenging for me to go through a microphone to a room of people. And, just for me, I think that's going to be really, really exciting. I'm sure for Mike, it's the same thing. Maybe even a little bit different just because it's a reunion show of something that you thought might never have happened again.
Didn't expect it to, but you know, it's exciting for sure. And I love that what we were talking about, I think last week, we were like, neither of us have played an original show in years.
Yeah.
And now we get to do it together the same night in both of our bands. I mean, it's wild. What the hell?
That started with a conversation like a few months ago with just you and I just talking about like, man, I wish we could just like get something in, you know, like we've been feeling a little artistically strived in that sense, or starved in that sense, I should say. And man, a conversation that was two separate ideas happened to become one and the same thing. It's like
what?
I don't know. It's weird. Like I subscribe to some hippie nonsense, and I just like there's a lot of signs there that was supposed to happen the way that it did.
100%. 100%.
Very,
it's like
very
that
cool.
doesn't happen. How does that work out? Shouts out to Bottom. Shouts out Kevin Singleton for helping us put it together.
Dude, Kevin, thank you so much, man. Like you're giving a special night for both of us that we thought might never have happened again. So
get your tickets, bottomlounge.com, 17 plus.
So enjoy that special night, right? There. I think it's down there.
And I'll be there. Bunch of the guys from our bands, our sound guy is going to be mixing and mixing you guys at least. And I haven't just been out to an original show in ages and forever. So, and I haven't like gone to it like where I didn't have to like work in some realm, you know what I mean? So it's gonna be awesome just to go and hang and listen to some really fucking good music and just chill. I feel like I need it like on a personal level. You know what I mean? Just to go out there. Obviously I'm supporting you guys. But like, and the music's good. If the music wasn't good, I wouldn't be fucking going. And I wouldn't, like,
sure.
You know what I mean? And I think it's so important for everyone to go out and just see something different and, you know, be like, just hang out with a bunch of people that are supporting local original music because it's a different crop of people. It's a more passionate group of people that go out and see original bands. They're not just there yelling fucking Freebird all fucking night. Like we get.
And you know what? Sometimes I feel like a lot of people. So I go to a lot of shows. I'm sure you probably both know this, but like last year I went to over 100 original like shows, just all over the place. I just love live music, and I think there's something lost in the sense like, and this is no rag on cover bands. Like by all means, go see cover bands all the time. But there are people that's all that they do,
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but maybe go to try to do one original show like a quarter,
Yeah.
because like when you see someone out there doing their art, it's different. It hits you different. I don't know. To me, there's moments almost in every original artist show where you get those goosebumps and you're like, I get what's happening here. Like this dude just put it all out or whatever. But to get those moments, it's special. It's a special thing watching someone do their own art. So I'm always a big supporter of like, if you can get to a live show, definitely do that. Or a local, national, whatever. But feed your soul a little bit every now and again, because we can all get lost in the shuffle of like, oh, I got work or I can't do it because of X, Y, and Z. Like, go do it. You'll be glad you did.
Yep, 1,000%.
And it's something too. These people we're all musicians. I found the best musicians are pretty insecure with even their own art. It takes a lot to spend hours and hours on something, and it ends up only being 3 minutes long, and putting that out to the world to be judged. I mean, that's the way that I look at it when I release original music. It's like it can be pretty heavy, and then when you're doing it live, like you're watching these people, they created this, and they are spilling their insides to you. Like this isn't like fake social media perspective on how people's lives are great all the time, blah blah blah. This is like somebody up there really letting out everything, and that's at the core. That's what makes it so cover bands can do this. But those bands that we all cover took a risk and exposed themselves to the world. You know what I mean? And that it's so cool when you see a good live band. It is a good live original band. It just changes you. It changes your wiring, like on so many levels. And I think that's lacking nowadays more than what it was when we were coming up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
To kind of tie that in a little bit to what Louder Now does, like I think one of the reasons why like the emo pop punk stuff is so important is if like take a look at those artists, right? All the bands that like Louder Now covers. I mean, those artists are special. They did something incredibly courageous and bold. They think about what we were just talking about, getting on a microphone and spilling their guts on there. I mean, these guys, this was 2000, what, 1 to 4, whatever. They got on a microphone and they sang about things like suicide and cutting yourself and depression and like just some of the really darkest place you can go in music when that wasn't talked about. That wasn't freely open. You didn't have suicide help groups. You didn't have all those things like you do now.
Right.
And those bands got up there and in front of rooms full of people and said those things through a microphone with their heart and soul. Like to me, that is like the number one most courageous thing you could possibly do as an artist. And that's why, like for me, it's part of why all the artists we cover with Louder Now are so special to me. But I think that's why they're so special to everyone else in the crowd. I mean, those songs were our therapy when maybe other things weren't there.
Right.
So that's why it's super important for me in Louder Now that those songs get the artistic justice that was given to them from the original artists. And, I'm just very grateful to be able to give back a little bit of that, if that makes any sense.
And it's funny that you that you say that a lot, that you guys approach Louder Now like an original band, because the shows are like that. The shows at Bourbon Street are not your typical cover band shows, even if it's packed. Like it is, you can tell that there's a release happening. And when you have that release from the crowd, coinciding with the band, like that's
Yeah.
when magic happens. And we see that. I see that with some of the bands I play in. But I definitely see it with Shady, because it's the same thing. It's like the lyrical subject matter is pretty deep, and
Mm-hmm.
watching people react to what Mike is
Sure.
saying, like so many times at shows, I'm always looking at the crowd, just gauging whatever, and they are staring at Mike and Ryan when they're saying these things. And these people are, you can tell they're unleashing, and
Yeah.
it is so important. And I know it sounds like a cliche, because it's like you want to see a band for a release, but that is absolutely what it is. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you want to forget about all the other bullshit that's going on. You want to feel like, okay, I'm not alone in this
Mhm.
world. Like, I like in the original scene in the early 2000s, like, you could go to a show, dress any way you want. You can talk to other people who have the same issues that you do, depression, anxiety, all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And you could feel a sense of community. And I definitely feel that at the Louder Now shows. It is an absolute sense of community. And it's, no matter how old they are, people are, it's united as one. And
Yeah.
Louder Now is the closest thing I've seen to what an original show is like. Like,
Sure.
bouncing,
Yeah.
screaming, just like
Yeah.
like moshing, all this stuff. Like, who moshes at a cover band show? Like,
Who crowd surfs at tailgaters? We've had it. Like it happens.
right.
Um,
I think you guys should all be proud of that, because
Yeah.
if
Yeah,
you guys
community
weren't,
word for it.
if you guys weren't conveying being genuine with what you were doing, that wouldn't happen.
Totally.
If you were just up there
No.
going through the fucking motions and
Right.
whatever, you wouldn't have that response. I've seen people
Yeah.
crying at your shows.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. I tended to someone in Iowa this week who had a hard time. So it's like she lost some people very close to her, and like just after the show she came up and she just said, this night meant so much to me, and like I can't thank you enough, and like this is what I needed to know I can get through this. And just like hearing stuff like that literally happened like 2 days before, it's like it's powerful. It's really, really powerful. I know it's a cover band, and you probably didn't expect these crazy deep conversations, but you guys chose to put the emo guy on your podcast. But
No.
yeah,
It's totally legit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
people
it's very legit feelings, and I think it's reciprocated on both ends for sure. Like we always joke around, but we hear from our fans all the time, like, I can't wait for your next show at insert venue, because I need my emo therapy. People say it all the time.
Yeah. And I'm sure Mike's had, because after our shows, like Mike and Ryan,
Tony, I
go out
didn't
in the crowd.
tell you this. After one of our last shows, this guy, middle-aged man, comes up to me after I've done all of, taken a bunch of pictures with people, shook hands with a bunch of people. He was just waiting around after all that. And, he eventually walks up and shook my hand, and he's like, I've been dealing with a lot of depression this week. I haven't been out of the house. This is the first time I just wanted to get out of the house. And he's like, and I can't believe that I did. And this is really helping me right now. And he's like, I'm going to be here every time you guys play, and this is something to look forward to. And it's like, I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Could have saved that guy's life. That's crazy.
You could have, easily could have.
It's just the energy in that room, the exchanging between us, between the crowd. It's a lot, and it's heavy, and it's real.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And that's something that I don't think a lot of people realize. And I don't think a lot of cover bands, or even tribute bands, get that kind of a response from people. And I know Shady does. I know Louder Now does. And I think that is the reason why the bands are successful, is because it's genuine and it's something for those people to connect with. Like, we've all suffered from depression and and we know what it's like to be like, I just don't want to leave the fucking house. I don't want to. And the fact that guy came out and then felt I mean, just the fact that he felt comfortable enough to sit there and wait and say this to you, like anyone who's had depression before, or
Hey,
is
that's not an easy statement for sure.
no,
Like
no,
that took some courage just to tell you that. Like I don't know if I
Mhm.
to
I could do that.
a complete stranger, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
that
And like the person
so
who brought it up
important.
to you, it's they felt comfortable with you. It's just that
Yeah.
energy. It's something that I can't
Mhm.
explain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what that does is it makes us take this shit even more seriously. Like
Yeah.
we can, like Dan just said, like you could have saved that dude's life. Like
Hmm.
you never know. And that's why we can't take any of the stuff for granted at all. And it's like you said, Dan, back in the day, it wasn't as it's so powerful.
Mhm.
And so you have some people that are just, forgetting about their work week, having a good time, which is awesome.
Totally.
But then a lot of people, it's a much deeper thing. And for me, with the depression and anxiety issues that I've had, playing and performing if I wasn't performing and playing, I don't know if I would be alive. Like
That's about what I was going to get to that after you were done. But
yeah.
I mean, that's ultimately like, to me, that's the thing that keeps me going. It's that thing that gives me purpose. It's that thing that gives me drive. It's that thing that makes me feel like I have a place in this world that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Like in my soul. And I think just feeding that when I can, like, dude, I mean, I'm sure you guys both would say the same thing, but I'm so grateful I get to do this for this long, like that I've been in the industry for this long. And I mean, like, that's definitely a testament to my hustle, but also like, I'm just grateful that I get to do this in any capacity, it's a blessing for me. I think our shows are a great place for our fans to feel like they're safe. They're in a safe group. Like we don't have a crowd that gets like throw up drunk or fights each other. Like it's a community.
Right.
You're in a community. They stick up for each other, and
They do.
in the comment section. They're looking out for each other.
Yeah.
And it's really beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's wild.
So sweet. So let's close it off.
No, but it's original music, but I mean, it is very original in its own way.
Yeah, and it's something real, and it's something that a lot of people are uncomfortable talking about, which I totally understand. But just knowing that you're not alone, like you're not alone. We're all going through shit. Even the people, especially in the social media world we live in now, everyone's always posting things that I'm so happy, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, do you need to talk? Like, are you okay? Because you shouldn't have to. It's just the social media world that we live in now. Like I said, it's everyone's only posting the best pictures of themselves, only posting the best of everything. And so that makes depression more of a real thing, because it's like, well, all these other people are super happy. And it's like, well, everyone's got their skeletons. Everyone's got their dark times, and giving musicians an outlet to release that in a healthy way, and giving people an outlet to release that in a healthy way, and just get that serotonin boost. And when they leave your show, they're like, they'll sleep better that night because they had that serotonin boost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, your mic is weird now. Your mic is like muffled right now.
Yeah, my thing got like unpaired or something. I was hoping I could wait it out, but I don't think I can.
Well, we can wrap it up with
I got one more thing.
Yeah.
I want to give one on a lighter note. We can close this out with a special thank you to one of our last sponsors, because not only is Dan a successful tribute cover artist and original musician, he also runs a clothing line, emo merchandise for the avid cat lover.
Oh, yes.
Sad Cats.
Oh, there it is.
Yes.
Yeah. I run
Sad Cats apparel. Tell us a little bit about that.
Merchandise.
What's the website for that?
What's the website on Sad Cats?
Sadcatsapparel.com.
Go get some emo merchandise for the avid cat lover in your life. Episode 2 brought to you by Sad Cats. There we go.
There it is.
Yeah.
Here's that QR code, wherever it is.
There we
Hey,
go.
There it goes.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't need to be buying more clothes now, but I'm going to.
Yes, you do need to.
Awesome. That's awesome. Maybe I'll be able to get something and wear it on Friday. And something that I said last week about your guys' show at Bottom Lounge. Anyone who, I might end up regretting this. Anyone who saw this podcast and came out because they saw the podcast, if you find me, I'll buy you a drink. But you again, you have to be 21, and this doesn't include either of you two.
Oh, come on. they carry NA beers there.
Do they carry NA beers?
Huh?
Do they carry non-alcoholic beers?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Maybe
Bottom
I'll have
Lounge
one.
has like 2. I want to say they have 2 non-alcoholic IPAs.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe I'll hit that up.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you guys know what time doors are?
6:30.
6:30. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
6:30
Mike, do you know
doors.
set times? I know I should know, but
We play at 4:30.
oh god.
I'm lying.
Yeah.
Don't post that. I'm lying.
Well, I started the show with
Get back in here without
Silverside.
falling out of the thing.
I started the show with Silverside, so I'm gonna end it with Fist to the Sky.
Mike, do you want to touch on any of Fists of the Sky while we're here? I know you didn't get a whole lot of
Mm-hmm.
No, we're here to interview Dan Zemanek of Louder Now and Silverside and Fist of the Sky. Fist of the Sky reunion show. They said it couldn't be done. They said it wouldn't be done. Some people said it shouldn't be done, but it's happening. It's happening June 14th. Get your
It was
tickets.
Steve. Steve said it wasn't. Shouldn't be done, right?
Fuck Steve.
Fuck
Fuck
Steve.
Steve. All right. Well, Dan, thank you so much for joining us.
Dan.
Yeah,
Thank
dude.
you, Dan.
Thank you so much for having me. I mean, I feel like we could go on and on like this for
Yep.
many more of these. So if there's ever a topic we want to hone in on, let's give it. I'd love to do another one for you guys.
Yeah,
You'll be
absolutely.
1,000%.
We know how our phone calls go.
God,
like,
yes.
It starts. Yeah, I just got to talk about something real quick, and then 3 hours later,
I know.
we're like,
I know. I'm like, I got to make this short because I need to rest my voice because I screamed all day yesterday. Talks for 3 hours.
well, rest up those vocals, both of you actually, for
Yeah.
because Dan sings lead in Silverside and Mike sings lead in Fist of the Sky. So, and you scream in Fist of the Sky, correct,
Yeah,
Dan?
Dan screams his ass off in Fist.
Is Fist
So-
going on after Silverside?
I
No,
think so.
Silverside's first,
I don't
which is
know.
great.
Okay,
Right.
perfect. I was gonna be.
I have a wedding the next day that we're playing at, and then on Sunday we're direct support for Lucky Boys. So like it's like a bunch of important shows where I need to have a voice for. So I will be pretty quiet after the show.
Yes. Save those vocal cords.
Mm.
All right, dudes. Yeah, I'm gonna close it out. Let's rock a little bit with some
All right.
Fist
Thanks
of the
again
Sky.
Thanks again for joining us, Dan. Much appreciated.
And
Cover
say
Story
it.
Podcast.
Say it. Smash that like button.
Obliterate
Obliterate it.
button. Smash the subscribe button.
Follow, like, subscribe.
Follow, like, subscribe.
That's it. Dan's got it.
And share this shit.
Share it.